Welcome to my review of the one and only Ivan, now streaming on Disney+, directed by Thea, Sharrock and starring Bryan, Cranston, and the voices of Sam Rockwell, Angelina Jolie, Brooklyn Prince, and Danny Devito, among others. The film is based on a true story, and we follow a gorilla named Ivan who is an attraction at a small circus in a mall, and as a new baby elephant comes into the group, the animals gather together to try and hatch a plan to escape and go free into the wild. I didn't think much about this film going in, even before it was announced that it was going into Disney Plus because of the whole Global Bastard skipping its theatrical release. I had no idea what this movie was about. I had never heard about the real story. I had never heard about the book. But I am a sucker for animal stories, I'm a sucker for animals, and I'm a sucker for real-life stories about animals that do incredible things. The voice cast all around is really good. Everyone does a good job. Even Sam Rockwell, who feels kind of against typecast for this kind of role, because Ivan is not necessarily the character you see Sam Rockwell playing, but he does it really well. He narrates a lot of the film to fill in small gaps here and there. Brooklyn Prince is really good. You can even tell in her voice that she's grown a lot ever since the Florida Project. And of course, Bryan Cranston is great, just like always. He's amazing in everything he does. As far as the acting is concerned, everyone is doing a really good job. What surprised me was the effects. This film looks really good. The animals all look great. They're not the best visual effects I've seen. They're not Planet of the Apes quality, let's put it that way. But they're better than, let's say, Call of the Wild that came out earlier this year. And I liked those visual effects. It worked fine for that film. In this, they look more realistic. Yes, the animals talk amongst one another, but it looks more real. It looks more natural when they do talk. The film also surprised me because it was genuinely charming and it had a heart to it. As I saw the trailer, this felt like a touchy story that felt very by the numbers, and the film is by the numbers, and I'll get to that in a bit. But the film felt very genuine, felt very sincere about the story it was telling about this gorilla that wants to help this little baby elephant escape, and he wants himself to escape. The biggest problem I have with the film is how it feels so rushed. Everything you need to know about these characters, not only the animals, but also, let's say, Bryan Cranston, and even the little girl that hangs out with the animals, who's the daughter of the guy who works for Bryan Cranston, everything feels very surface level. Just enough for you to care about them, just in case they die or something, you're like, ah, but nothing really gets developed to another level. Even as you find out backstories about certain characters in this film, everything feels very superficial. It is very much someone telling someone else what happened and filling in the gaps for the audience. That's constantly what this film does. I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's something that happens from second act to the third act. That transition doesn't really work. It's so fast, it doesn't let anything linger. It doesn't let you sink in the events that are happening. On one moment, one character decides to do this for something to happen. The next scene, that thing happens, and the next scene, it has already happened, and the film concludes, and that is it. I can't tell what happened. This isn't one of those films that I can look at it and say that it was chopped up, that it was meant to be, let's say, 2 hours, and then when it went on to Disney Plus, it got cut to 95 minutes. It doesn't feel like that's the case. The editing is not awful, it's not bad, it feels very fluid in what it is, but it feels like the film could have been something more, in a sense. It feels like the story just flies by, and it doesn't sit on any of the more emotional moments. The scenes happened, here's the emotion, let's move on. That's what this film feels like. And I feel bad for the director, Thea Sharrock, because it feels like she put a lot of energy into her actors. And I don't usually talk about this stuff, because I feel like normally it doesn't matter for the movie itself. But in this one really bothered me, so I need to talk about this. At the end of the film, you have the typical text and pictures comparing what you just saw to what actually happened in real life. And when you see what happened in real life, it is very different from what happens in the film. And it left a sour taste in my mouth. It's a typical story about animals wanting to be free and not be held in captivity. And this isn't one of those movies where they are very badly treated, but they are still in captivity, so you root for these animals. But then what you see happens in real life doesn't really coalesce with the film that you just saw. So you're not really sure what to feel. I wasn't sure how to feel about the film and about what happened in actual reality. The One and Only Ivan can be a fun time. It's a very familiar, very simple watch. It has its charm, it has its fun with these characters. You like these characters because they are likable enough. There's nothing really to remember, however, long run about this film. If anything, even if I haven't read it myself, I would recommend the book because knowing more about real life amazing animal stories is kind of my jam, so I hope it is yours. I'm giving The One and Only Ivan a C+. Now, what did you think about The One and Only Ivan, my beautiful geekies? Let me know in the comments below if you knew about the real life story, if you've read the book, and do you recommend the book? Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for more reviews to come. I have been lucky to have been getting some screeners, and I hope to bring those reviews to you very soon. Thank you for all the support. And so until the next video, stay beautiful and stay geeky. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video because it really helps me and the channel out. But most importantly, above everything else, forever and always, love each other and love the movies.